May 12, 2017, 8 a.m. In a Manchester hospital, a nurse hits enter to pull up a patient's file before surgery. The screen freezes. Then something appears that no one in that building has ever seen before. A red window, a padlock, and a countdown timer. She didn't know that at that exact moment, that same red screen was appearing on 230,000 computers across 150 countries, simultaneously, in real time. And while the most powerful governments on Earth had absolutely no idea what to do, the solution was sitting in the bedroom of a 22-year-old in a small coastal town in Devon, England. This is the true story of Marcus Hutchins, the man who saved the world for $10, and the secret that almost destroyed him. To understand what happened that day, you need to understand one thing about the internet. It was never designed to be secure. It was designed to survive a nuclear war, sharing information between universities. Security was an afterthought. And in May 2017, someone decided to exploit that crack with surgical precision, using years of development, and a theft that no one in the government will officially admit happened. The story of WannaCry doesn't begin with Russian hackers, or with Kim Jong-un, though both will play their part. It begins in a windowless building in Maryland, under the most recognizable logo in intelligence, the NSA. Imagine every building in the world uses the same brand of lock, and that there's a master key that opens all of them. That key wasn't made by a criminal. It was made by the government. The NSA spent years developing EternalBlue, an exploit targeting Microsoft's file-sharing protocol. In plain terms, a hidden backdoor into almost every Windows computer on the planet, not to steal, to spy, to have access in case of a national emergency. Then the unthinkable happened. Someone stole the key. In August 2016, a group calling themselves the Shadow Brokers posted a message online. "We hacked the NSA. We have their weapons. We're selling them." The government denied everything, but the damage was done. WannaCry took that NSA master key and turned it into something different. It didn't just open doors, it sealed them permanently until you paid. A worm, an autonomous beast that didn't need any human to click anything. It connected to the internet, scanned millions of random IPs, found an open door, walked in, encrypted everything, and then used that same machine to hunt its next 10 victims. A perfect digital chain reaction. While all of this was happening, Marcus Hutchins was doing what he did every day, analyzing malware in his bedroom in Ilfracombe, a town of 11,000 people on the Devon coast. Marcus wasn't a government employee. He didn't have a multi-million-dollar lab. He had a gaming chair, 3 monitors, and a mind that worked differently from everyone else's. Since his teenage years, Marcus had had a complicated relationship with cybersecurity. He'd seen the dark side. He'd lived in it. But that's a story for later. That Friday morning, someone at his cybersecurity firm, Cryptos Logic, sent him a sample of the malware paralyzing the world. His job? Dissect it, analyze it, understand how it thinks. Marcus began disassembling the code. Layer by layer, the malware was designed to confuse, noise, junk code, false trails. But Marcus had a surgeon's patience, and then he saw it. Buried deep in the virus's logic, an instruction that made no sense. IUQRFSOD PK9 IFJ POSD FJHGOAUR IGFL8WRWIRGAWA.com. A URL that clearly didn't exist. If the domain responded, the virus stopped. If it didn't respond, the destruction began. Marcus understood immediately. It was a kill switch. An emergency brake so the creators could stop the virus if things went wrong. And they had wired it to an unregistered domain. Marcus's pulse spiked. His hands trembled slightly. Not from fear, from the sheer magnitude of what he was considering. If he registered that domain, he might stop the attack, or he might trigger a phase 2, a digital time bomb waiting for exactly that trigger. He didn't know. Nobody knew. There was no time to consult with the government, with Microsoft, with anyone. Marcus Hutchins picked up his debit card, paid $10.69, and pressed enter. In hospitals across Europe, the red screens began to disappear. Surgeries resumed. Medical records came back. At Renault's plants, the production line started moving again. The world didn't know what had happened. It only knew the attack had stopped. And in a bedroom in Devon, a 22-year-old had just saved the digital infrastructure of 150 countries with a transaction under $11. The story leaked within hours. The media needed a name. They needed a hero. And Marcus Hutchins, who until that morning was known in cybersecurity circles only by his alias, MalwareTech, was suddenly the most famous person on the internet. It was exactly what he feared most. 3 months after the attack, Marcus flew to Las Vegas for DEF CON, the world's most important hacker conference. He was the guest of honor, the man of the year. For days, he signed autographs, gave talks, accepted recognition that, ironically, he didn't want. What he didn't know, or perhaps did know, and simply wanted to believe time had erased, was that in that same city, FBI agents had been watching him for days, not because he was the hero of WannaCry, but because they had evidence of who he was before he became one. This is where Marcus's story becomes genuinely complex, uncomfortable, real. Years earlier, as a teenager, Marcus had done something the American justice system calls a federal crime. He had created a banking trojan called Kronos, malware designed to steal login credentials from ordinary people, innocent people. He had sold it on dark web forums for thousands of dollars. Why? It's the question everyone asks. The answer is frustrating in its humanity. Because he was young. Because he could. Because the line between offensive and defensive hacking in adolescence can feel like a line of code rather than a moral wall. But the FBI doesn't work with "he was young." The FBI works with evidence. And they had evidence. On August 2nd, 2017, as Marcus waited for his flight back to England at the Las Vegas airport, men with federal credentials approached him. They told him he needed to come with them. Marcus Hutchins, the man who saved the world, was arrested by the FBI. The arrest news hit the cybersecurity world like a second earthquake. Twitter, forums, podcasts, everyone debating the same question. Was Marcus a reformed genius or a criminal who got lucky? Did the good he did offset the harm he caused? And beneath that debate, a deeper question. How many of the best defenders of the internet have a past on the dark side? Isn't the knowledge that makes someone capable of stopping an attack often the same knowledge that allows them to launch one? The cybersecurity world operates in shades of gray. It always has. Marcus Hutchins's legal battle lasted nearly 2 years. In July 2019, he pleaded guilty to 2 federal charges related to Kronos, but something unusual happened in that courtroom. The judge read the arguments from both sides, read the victim impact statements from Kronos, read the testimonies of cybersecurity experts, NHS representatives, and researchers who had worked alongside Marcus. And then she made a decision that set a precedent in cyber law. Marcus Hutchins was sentenced to time served, no additional prison, supervised release on the condition that he continue working in defensive cybersecurity. Judge Stadtmiller said something that will be in the books. Young people sometimes make terrible mistakes. What defines their character is what they do afterward. Marcus Hutchins lives in the United States. He works in cybersecurity. He has a YouTube channel, a technical blog, a community that follows him. He has never romanticized what he did as a teenager. In his own words, it was a mistake that hurt real people. Full stop. But he is also the man who, with $10 and the speed of his mind, stopped an attack that the most powerful governments on Earth could not. That duality doesn't resolve itself. It just has to be held. The story of Marcus Hutchins is the story of the internet itself. Built by imperfect people, for ambiguous purposes, with consequences nobody fully anticipated. Every line of code someone writes in a dark room can be a shield or a weapon. Sometimes the same line is both, depending on who uses it and when. The question WannaCry left us with isn't technical, it's philosophical. Are we willing to accept that the people who best understand the shadows are sometimes the only ones capable of protecting us from them? Or do we prefer the comfort of heroes with clean records? There is no right answer. There is only the next threat, and the hope that somewhere out there, in some bedroom, the right mind is already watching it unfold. Thank you for watching this investigation by the Code Noir. Subscribe before the next breach begins. The next investigation is already downloading.